There we are.
Well, happy Sunday morning to all of you. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty coming to you from an undisclosed location deep in the heart of American flyover country. And a little bit to my west is our Wayne Steiger.
Hello.
And this is not your normal Sunday show. And Wayne and I were having a little bit of a discussion off air. And Wayne, right before we came on, I was thinking about, wouldn't you like to live in a world where you didn't have to defecate?
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I get tired. Eating's boring at times, to be honest with you.
And you know what? I did a little bit of a talk about, I was studying something else, and I found in Genesis that they really gave us, the gods gave us everything to eat, the animals and the plants. We've just been looking at a horrible translation. And I put that out a little 5-minute show, and I've got so much hate mail, vegans saying you're an animal slaughterer, people that eat meat saying vegans are part of the new deception. And, it's like our creators said, look, we know some of you are going to be better eating meat. Some of you are going to be better not eating meat. Just eat what you want and leave each other the hell alone. Why do we have such a hard time doing that?
I woke up at 4 o'clock in my meditating, and I woke up the song "We Won't Get Fooled Again" by the Who, and I love the lyrics that
Wayne, I remember that as the theme song for CSI. That shows you how musically messed up I am.
So Pete writes in there, he says, welcome the new boss, just like the old boss.
Oh, that's where that comes from?
Yeah, that's where it comes from. And it says, I love it. And he says, we won't get fooled again. Get down on your knees and learn to pray. And the thing is, when you read it, when I read that, I had to get up and go look at the lyrics. And I said, you know what? Pete's talking something more here than just what we thought of a government. He's talking about archons.
Yeah, he is.
He is. Read the lyrics.
Amazing stuff. And then we spend so much time fighting about what you're eating and what I'm eating. And we miss things that really will dramatically change our life.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, and I didn't know this, and I'm pretty tuned in. I mean, I don't pay a lot of attention to the news, but you were just telling me before we came on air that we came within maybe a day of a coup in the United States of America, and I've never even heard about it.
Yeah, the coup date was supposed to have been right around the 15th of December. We know now the characters. We know that McCabe, Justice Department. We also know that Rothstein, who's still in the Department of Justice. Why? That he, in fact, along with McCabe, and we don't know who else, were in fact planning a coup against the president, the sitting president of the United States. And here's
just so everyone knows, a coup it means a seizure of power, overthrow, takeover, ousting, regime change, palace revolution. It means generally a bloodless or just a quick usurpation of the power. Here it is. It's the overthrow of an existing government, an illegal, unconstitutional seizure of power by a dictator, the military, or a political faction.
This was a political faction. We know that the top law enforcement agency of the United States of America, that their top people were involved in a coup, admitted. And what I don't understand is why Rothstein is not been arrested. Why isn't? And here's the question I have for America today. The question is, are the CEOs of CNN, NBC, ABC, and CBS part of this coup? And who in the Congress and Senate were also backing these men for the takeover, illegal takeover of the United States? And I did a video in November warning Americans, it's on my Artist First and on my YouTube, that this was taking place.
Wayne, the thing that this brings up in my mind is, we know that politics isn't the answer. We know that it's a big game. We know it's right versus left paradigm. And yet, if Trump is just a puppet, if Trump is just part of the problem, then why are the deep state powers that be trying to remove him? I go back and forth like a ping pong ball. Trump's just like the rest of them. Or is Trump actually trying to come in and break stuff up? And if he is, why is he still breathing air?
My deep concern is I think they're going to make an attempt to assassinate him.
And folks will get mad at me, Jeff. We don't listen to this channel for politics. Just do what you're supposed to do. Well, what I do is help you unindoctrinate yourself. And unless you're stupid, you realize that you have places in your life outside of religion where you're indoctrinated, and you need to unindoctrinate yourself entirely and completely. And that's part of it. And if you don't like this, I'm sure that cartoons or Robert Schuller reruns or something is on somewhere else.
Go watch Joel Osteen.
Joe, go watch Joel.
He'll bring you into the presence.
So do you think they would how could they have a coup without military support?
I think that's what stopped it. I think that Bulldog was in there, and I think Rothstein could not anticipate what he was going to do. And I found it odd that right when this thing had parted, he leaves.
Oh, so you think your theory would be that Mattis was just there long enough to stop the coup, and he wanted to go do something else. He found out retirement was better than being in the middle of all this crap.
I think he served his country beyond what most Americans have any idea. We know there was a coup. We know there was an attempted coup. This is what we do know. And you can see the suppression. Our video may very well be suppressed. So if you're listening to this live, you better make a recording of it, because the fact is, it is not being covered by the mainstream press. Only through the alternative news sources are we finding out that the fact that now, when Rothstein made the admittment last fall that he was willing to carry a wire, I said, wait a minute. You got the head guy over at DOJ. What the hell is he talking about wearing a wire for? And now all everyone needs to do is go read the 25th Amendment. I did a whole show on it. And it appears that, may it be by the greater powers. And all I have to say this, the Trump name, it goes all the way back to John D. John D is reported to have invoked something on Trump's great-great-grandfather, the name, and it's carried forth ever since then.
So why would someone, Wayne, that doesn't like Donald Trump care if there was a coup or not?
Well, because if it would we would be in a constitutional crisis. And people don't understand this was what would split this country. We would be in a civil war right now. Martial law would be declared. It would be really ugly. And people don't understand. These are very, very dangerous times in government, in the United States government.
And who were they going? Do you have, or do we even know who they were going to try to put in the White House?
If you read according to the statutes of the 25th Amendment, it would have been Pence, unless Pence would have resigned, and then it would be the Speaker of the House.
I was just saying to someone last night how odd it is that, vice presidents are normally pretty transparent. You don't see a lot of the vice president. He goes and kisses babies and christens battleships. But Pence is even more so. Pence is like, did Pence even move to Washington? I haven't seen him since the election night.
Do you know what he heads up, right?
Silent.
Do you know what he heads up?
I do not.
NASA.
Pence heads up NASA?
Yes, sir. Their budgets are approved by the vice president.
No kidding. NASA budget approved by the vice president.
You didn't read what Trump also instilled Pence to do? Pence is leading the Space Defense Force.
Wow.
He's also been overseas on major trips. No, Pence has been anything but quiet.
He hasn't been very visible.
No, and I think that's by design. But if you'll notice, in every major signing, who's standing right there next to Trump?
Yeah, I would imagine that, even if it was just ceremonial, but yeah.
But we never saw that with Obama. You very seldom seen Biden ever standing behind Obama when Obama was signing declarations, bills, etc.
Well, the problem with crazy Uncle Joe was he was either going to pass gas, grope a little girl, or say something stupid. He'd just drop.
He was probably wanting to cop a feel. It's like, yeah, okay, fine.
Everything within me hopes and prays that Biden gets the Democratic nomination so I can see him and Trump in a debate. Oh, Trump would just absolutely destroy
It
that
would be
poor
like
old
watching
codger.
Red Skelton, do a skit. I mean, that would be
Please
comical.
let us get Biden Trump
But you know what,
2020.
Jeff? This just brings out the point. We humans, we love being deceived. We love being lied to. You've got presidential candidates out there that are known liars, admitted liars.
Which
And
one isn't?
then, well, which one do you want to choose?
Which
Well,
one
you want to
isn't?
choose. Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's like, okay, which liar do you want to choose from?
And we have
yet,
a lady that's actually being considered a serious presidential candidate that's advocating a 90% tax rate.
can you imagine that? We got
Do you
one who was
understand how
claiming a
stupid we
heritage
have to
that she
be?
never had. God. And so
Yeah,
here's my
Ocasio-Cortez says 90% tax rate, and what's her name? Warren says how?
exactly. Oh, yeah. You just ask the folks in Venezuela how that socialism's going. He has passed on. One of my love the guy that 10 years after. And they had a song that said, tax the rich, feed the poor till there's rich no more. Alvin Lee's, it was a famous line. And that's where we are. At some point in time, if you want to redistribute wealth, the whole system collapse. Maybe
Yeah,
that's
because
where
the problem is, tax the wealth and feed the poor until there's rich no more, whatever. But the problem is, if there's rich no more, there's jobs no more, and you're in Venezuela, 2020.
Yeah, that's it.
So Wayne, how close do you really think we actually came to there being a coup?
I think we came within a day.
So what would they have done to Trump?
You would have had an immediate blackout. You would have gotten no news, and there would have been because a lot of dicey things. You got military, you got law enforcement, then you've got justice. How do you come in and announce this to the American people? Because one, it would send a shockwave through the financial markets that we would be in the midst of a huge depression. And so they would have to have gotten Treasury to come over and figure it out. And, number one, man, our guy over in Treasury, I can't think of his name. I see his face. He is loyal to Trump. So they couldn't get the cooperation of Treasury. That's a problem. How do we, so that's how it would have worked. It would have been on a weekend. There would have been a news blackout. Things would have looked normal on Saturday, and then they would have announced something, I believe, on Sunday morning.
So Trump's deep support in the military and Treasury saved him.
I think it saved his ass.
Yeah,
I really do.
And Tracy Dyer floats a very interesting theory that I've not heard, but as I bounce it around in my brain, it makes a lot of sense. She says that Ocasio-Cortez chick is a MAGA plant to implode the Democrats.
She's, I don't, I'll tell you what the spirits tell me about her. Deception. You can't see through her. There is, it's like a cataract. There is this something that's, I think that there are spirits that, in this case, of a high kind that are surrounding that person.
So, Wayne, what does all of this mean about who Donald Trump is and what he is and what we should think about him?
I'll just say this. We live in a time of reawakening magic. It's the time where the archons become active again. And I think major moves are being done right now. And we're seeing key things happening around the world. And since we are the seat of, be it Babylon, however you want to say it, I think we are the seat of this deity that we call God, known as Samael and his consort Lilith. Things are moving. We're coming to a time that they would describe as an eon change. Aeon.
Yep. Now, is that referring to entities or to time?
I think they may be both. There is, I think, a presence that is beyond time, that manipulates time. That's where they exist. And then there is the substrata, that the thing that we call God. That's where we exist.
Interesting. Interesting. And I'm starting to hear this now and again. And my first thought is that it's super silly. And I think that's probably my second, third thought as well. People talk about there's two Trumps.
I don't think so. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One wears the blue tie, one wears the red tie.
Anyone who reads Dress for Success, come on, you read his book, folks. The Art of the Deal.
Yeah.
The thing about Trump is that if I was to do an interview for him, I'm going to go to Gucci and get myself one of the best suits, custom fit. I'm going to know exactly which tie because I don't want to overpower his red power tie. So I'm probably going to do something more subdued in a black and red. You're muted.
You don't want Donald Trump to think that you're trying to upstage him.
You know, people
and you know he'll
read.
know.
Yeah. People don't read, Jeff. They just pull shit out of their butts, and this is what they suddenly make themselves, experts on. They don't read. You can read about the man. He's not an enigma. He tells you he's about success. He knows how to invoke success.
He does.
Yeah. It's the same thing with Brady. Brady is now where we are. Brady is awake.
You talking about Tom Brady?
Yeah.
The quarterback?
Mm-hmm. He's very much awake, my friend.
Oh, I actually bought his book. I never read it yet, but I bought his book. I have no problem with Tom Brady. He's seems like a really interesting guy, and he has a lot of haters too.
Yeah, he does.
Just because he's, clean cut and successful and the best at what he does. I saw a meme that was funny. I didn't want to laugh at it, but it showed him wearing, not the most masculine suit you've ever seen, but it was like something about Tom Brady has a look of a strong, successful woman that doesn't need anybody.
You and Jay Campbell are all about optimization.
Oh, he's as optimized as they get, brother.
I mean, that's your freaking poster boy right there.
Yeah. He's as optimized as they get.
Yeah.
So what are you looking for in the coming months? Are you still worried about this coup, or what do you think is going to happen?
Oh, I think it's just started.
Now, what happened to Pelosi? Wasn't she almost gone? How come she survived that?
Well, you do the dance. It's all about the money. And that woman is powerful. And whether what people may think, everyone has an opinion. But the fact is, I wrote this. I told my wife I was making tea, and it came out of me. And I had to come in here. I said, what amazes me is how great power is given to ordinary people and how extraordinarily they screw it up.
Yeah. I wonder what kind of a guy Brady is. Have you ever met Brady?
I have not. No, I have not. I bet he is. I have a sense that this dude would be a delightful conversation.
I bet he's decent to people. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, his wife, what is her name? The model.
Super hot.
Yeah. I can't think of her name right at the moment, but
she doesn't need a name. So, it's Giselle, right?
Giselle, thank you. And Giselle, when they went to Brady's locker room before the Super Bowl, he had set up an altar.
That's right. It was his and they say Giselle set it up for him.
Yes.
And it had his crystals on it and his success focused things. And he's not leaving anything to chance.
And look what he did that night.
He went out and won his 6th Super Bowl.
Broke records.
That's no one's ever done that before.
No.
And
don't
probably
no
one will ever do it again.
Work. Get that con out of my face. I don't want to hear it, man. This stuff works.
And no one will ever do it again.
Exactly.
And he's been to 10 Super Bowls. 10. He's only won 6 of them, but he's been to 10. That's your haters. Yeah, he's lost 4 Super Bowls. How can he be that good?
He is the modern day of a Titan.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. And we have
Somebody says Giselle is a witch and probably has a cauldron. Well, good for her.
well, fine.
Why would that? I'm all for witches, and I'm all for witches that know what they're doing.
Hey, listen, that type of magic, I ain't got a problem bathing in it.
No problem at all.
I mean, I've seen bad magic. I see it all around me. And, it's part of this discovery, that we're immersed into. We are indeed, Jeff, I think, on that precipice of a change. It's been building up for thousands and thousands of years. What are you laughing?
I'm just thinking about, optimization and making your life better. And and I'm going to be very male about this, and some people aren't going to like it, but here's Tom Brady, right? He's married to Bridget Monahan. Beautiful woman, right?
Yeah.
Lovely lady, actress. How could you ever, and then along comes Giselle. Arguably prettier. So, I mean, it's just interesting to me. You talk about optimization and improving your life. Wow.
Lilith still lives.
Ay, ay, ay.
I know it.
Ay, ay, ay.
I know it. It's a wild. I think something has started. By the way,
Tracy says that Tom Brady said Giselle is a witch.
I think he did.
Somebody said she's from old world European continent. I think she's Brazilian, isn't she, or something? She's not from Europe.
I don't know. I think isn't she from the Balkan areas? I don't know. I could be wrong. Check it out. You have a thing up on there. So we've lived through one coup, and now we find ourselves in a time where we see our religion, the modern day archons, beginning to fall. The archon that took the position over the religion of, and I think in this case, each religion has an archon over it, that the archon that has been over the power broker of the modern era is, I think that it has taken the sip of the wine of the tree of life. And the tree of life.
She's born in Brazil.
Born in Brazil. Okay. And there you go. Deeply spiritual people. When I say spiritual, I love it.
Yep.
So as we go on, I think the proverbial roller coaster, we've hit the peak, and we are on for a ride that I think is going to get more interesting, Jeff.
These are definitely interesting times to be living in, and we probably haven't seen anything yet.
I think it's just started. I saw that
an archon step into a tulpa. Why would they want to? A tulpa is that's a step down for an archon, way down, I think.
I don't think we understand archons. This book I've been reading, it really does break it down in a way that I had never seen before. And it's interesting. I wrote that most of the world's population today only sees from one point of view. And so if you live in America, you're Christian. Even if you don't practice the religion, you're immersed into it.
And at least you're American.
Yeah. And that's the archon that sits over that power structure. No power is voided.
So there's a MAGA archon.
Yeah, I think over every religion there is, yes.
Do you think there's nationalistic archons as well?
Yes.
Say there's a religious archon, but is there a American archon?
Yes, there is one that takes on the appearance of country pride.
Yeah.
Because that will kill many people. And the God that the people serve in the Bible, every God, I don't care what religion you're in. I don't care if you're atheist. I don't care if you're agnostic. The God that we are subservient to is a serpent. And I'm here to tell everyone right now, the God of the Bible, your Yahweh, your Jesus, all of those are nothing more than serpents. And that is why, Jeff, if you go and you look back through mankind's history, that's why you always find two symbols. You find the serpent and you find the dragon.
Yeah, and this world now is ruled by a reptilian serpent god. There's no doubt about it. It's ubiquitous. It's in all the cultures.
It's the same God.
Mm-hmm.
His name is, and I happen to, unless someone can show me wrong, his name is Samiel. That is his name. And his concubine is Lilith. Lilith is God.
Well, we have a little bit of a disagreement there, but that's okay. I think Lilith is now there's a tulpa, a thought form named Lilith. I don't think it's actually Lilith.
In this book, The Soul of Lilith, this guy, this is a true story, actually invoked Lilith, and she manifested to him. And just so you know, where my family name is concerned, my relative committed suicide, offered himself on the altar of Lilith.
Yeah, I saw I saw that show.
Yeah. It's in Lilith's sigil is in our Steiger coat of arms.
Interesting.
So it would appear, and everyone has a different point of view, but the view that's here, we know that this God is an insane God. It's said that it is a jealous God. The host of angels came against Samuel and said, if you're the only God, because he said, I am that I am the only God, and I am a jealous and vengeful God. My wrath knows no end. Well, in the story that I'm reading, the host said, then to who are you jealous of if there's only you? And of what wrath would you show your wrath to? What I love about this book, it explains Cain in a way I have never, ever read before. So anyway, I think that this is part of this structure, whether she is an image, whether she is an actuality. I know this God that the world has looked to for the last couple thousand years, something's happened. Something has collapsed. And I think we're seeing this not only in the spiritual realm, I think we're seeing it in the spiritual, and I think we're seeing it in the cosmos.
And what are we seeing exactly?
Well, if you read the story, when God was created, Samuel, God was created by the thought of Babylon. And Babylon did not get the approval of the Father. She did this, and Babylon is wisdom. And she gave birth to what she wanted to, because the Father had given birth to what we call the divine Gerdamas. Geradamas. And when Babylon gave birth, the mass was incomplete. Why? Because she didn't have the other male part. And when she looked at it, it turned into a serpent. And she carried it off and hid it in a cloud of glory called the Shekinah glory, where it thought it was the only God, the only creator.
And by the way, the Jews believe the Shekinah glory dwelt between the wings of the cherubim on the Ark of the Covenant.
So much, Brother Jeff, and I mean that literally in a way that I mean, just to show you, Jeff, these are my notes, and I'm only a third way. It is coming in such a way that, all right, this book, as you may have read, there's evidence from Origins, who wrote that he got this from he who held it, Paul of Antioch.
And that's where Paul had his headquarters, the faux apostle Paul. And Cynthia makes this interesting statement. She says that she believes that there's certain areas or cities or regions that have archons over them, and that's partially responsible for the unique speech patterns and accents that we hear.
I believe that as well. So when I began to think about the Apostle Paul, it seems that John the Gnostic also had a copy of this book. You know, it always wondered me, Jeff, in Ephesians 6:12, how did Paul come up with that hierarchy structure? There's nowhere else in the Old Testament and nowhere else in the New Testament.
Mac Sterling says the God of this world is Santa.
Could be.
Could be.
But so there's clear evidence that if Paul, in fact, had this book, think of the influence.
Yeah. And let's circle back just for a second, because this happens all the time. You know, somebody's in here saying, oh, the Patriots will always win. And isn't it funny that people that lose, people that aren't very successful, never get accused of cheating? It's always the people that are winners, the people that are doing it the right way and getting it done over and over and over. Oh, they got to be cheating. And I'm not a Patriots fan, but how come no one ever thinks that Tampa Bay cheats? How come no one ever thinks that the Lions cheat?
What does that say about us? That
we're jealous. That's the spirit of Samael. That's the spirit of Sackless. That's the spirit of Yaldabaoth.
Yes.
Jealousy.
Yes. The tree of life in this book was not the tree of life. They didn't guard it. The archons didn't guard it. They wanted the earthman, Adam, to eat of it. The tree of life was
That's
the tree
what
of
it says in Genesis chapter 1. I've given you every tree on the face of the earth to eat from. Every tree.
Every tree.
Was the Garden of Eden on planet Earth, Wayne?
It was built by the archons. They
and
put
were the trees in the garden?
I think that this
we can eat from everything. We were supposed to eat from all of them.
The story that I'm getting in this point of view is that they hated man. Man had something that God didn't have. You see, God was tricked in creating man. It was Lilith's creation, but she didn't have the spark of divinity in her. And Samuel, he thought he didn't have it either. But what he did know is that his mother, the mother of all creations, did. And so Lilith brought Samuel when Armozel was sent down by the perfect spirit to literally castrate the red dragon, because Samuel and Lilith were entwined with one another between the red dragon. Out of Lilith's womb flew an endless flow of archons and super mighty demons. The red dragon had this ability to produce this. And when the chief archangel came down and cut between there, castrated the red dragon, Samuel and Lilith could no longer be joined, and they went off. When Lilith went off to the end of Samuel's kingdom, guess what? Babylon rolled back the Shekinah glory, and she suddenly saw that they were merely a spear within one. But what she did see was the heavenly man, the Adam heavenly man, I think our redemption. And that's when she made the image of what she saw. And it took Samuel to come in and lay over the mud man. And when he did, the spark of divinity filled Adam. And they hated us from ever since then, because Adam was complete, God was not. So anyway.
That's interesting. Wayne, what are your thoughts on the fact that the story of Lilith it's indisputable that the story of Lilith has its birth and its creation within the writings of rabbinic Talmudic literature? Does that give you any pause that it basically is the teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees?
I don't know. We've been lied and deceived. I mean, the way I look at it, they tried their best to destroy this book. That's verifiable. That's not hyperbole. That's not subjugation. It's the truth. They did their best to destroy this book. It is probably before my relative got a hold of it, there was probably not known. If he hadn't found that book and that antique dealer, which I think Lilith was guiding him, that book would have, who knows what had happened to it. But because of it now, we're getting a different story. And the thing about Lilith, she was lied to. by God, her consort. And the emptiness that it put within her is the lust that she still seeks today. She can't fill it. She is wisdom. Why? Because she had the wisdom of the consort, Samuel, who had the spark from what we would call, I guess, Sophia. I don't know. Babylon, who knows? I mean, names.
Does it have anything to do with Vinnie Barbarino?
It may have been. And then he did Saturday Night Live.
So we could just say to Samael, we could just say to Yaldabaoth, we could just say to Sackless, up your nose with a rubber hose.
It answered for me a lot of why this God of the Bible, the God that I worshiped, why he was so vengeful. Why you would have right in my plaque here, that's 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. And I always thought it odd that Paul would put something in there that this God, it's an indictment. That's what this is. It's an indictment against the very God that we all worship. But this is a God that it's wrathful. It acts rashly. And unfortunately, we're pawns. I will say this, as dark as this book is, as telling the story, and it's a dark one, there is hope for our kind. There is the perfect, it's called the invisible spirit, the perfect source, and it loves us. And it knows, how do I say this? We have a representative, consciously, collectively, man. And that man has been crying, weeping at the Archon's presence because we are under the authority of a madman, a mad God.
And here's something interesting. Nigel Worsley, an intelligent guy, says that, and follow this math, Wayne, and see if he's accurate. I'm a Bible college graduate, not a math major. But he says that in 1900, they tell us the population was 1.5 billion. Today, they say it's 7 billion. So he's saying that 750 million couples. So in the last 100 years, no one has died, and we've all had 10 kids.
The angels say, the archons say that there's an exact number of man.
And I think I know why. I agree with you, and I think I know why. And why? Nigel also has floated a belief that I did a little show on, that the one in like 1776 or 1876 is not a one, it's an I for Jesus, and that they've added 1,000 years to history. So it's really not 2019 now, it's 1019.
I don't know. I mean,
and it's tied to the 1,000 years of Satan being bound.
Again, who is Satan? I mean, I don't know how we get. Here's what I keep on thinking as I'm writing. We assign all the negative value to an unseen entity to.
We got you, Nika. Go ahead.
To basically exempt the one that we want to be the good guy. But the one that we want to be the good guy appears and shows us all the evidence is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then you put some guy on a cross. And my question is, well, if I follow your Bible, it leads me right back to Yadabolda, Samuel. So what's going on here? And what about the serpent on the cross that was evident with Moshe?
Did you hear what you just said, Wayne?
What?
A serpent on a cross. And now we got a dead guy on a stick. The serpent on the cross, Jesus on the cross. Has no one ever thought this through before? Wait a second.
I don't know.
On the cross, Jesus on the cross. And then the Vatican goes and shows you two-headed Jesus, one head dude, other head serpent, and we still can't figure it out.
They build a whole building to it.
Yeah.
It's the serpent. God is a serpent, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, Jesus is the snake in the grass.
He is. What did he come to save us from? His father?
No. Wayne, you misunderstand it. Jesus came to save you from the sin that he gave you.
Now that I can believe. And that's the thing. I have you seen this book? I've just started reading it. The Law of One of Raw.
No, I haven't read that.
So it's called the Law of One, and another one like the Emerald Tablets. Thoth. I think Thoth is God. I think it is the serpent. And Lilith is the only one that's trying to tell us all, hey, folks, in the story in paradise, the archons intoxicated Adam with the drink of forgetfulness. And how they did this is that they surrounded him with luxury. That's the exact word they use, luxury. Once he, and the creation story, when God breathes into Adam's mouth, in this book, it's a hiss. The serpent parted its lips and blew into man.
That's interesting. That's the second man, right? In Genesis chapter 2. That's somebody's just said, oh, and what you just said sparked, they surrounded him with luxury. If you remember when Agent Smith in the Matrix has Morpheus tied to that chair, he talks about the first Matrix. They made it luxurious. They made it happy.
It failed.
It failed because men couldn't believe that things were really that good.
And by the way, Lilith, when she is talking, they use the term matrix. And this was translated from the language that, this case, it was Latin, the word matrix. And the thing that Lilith saw, by the way, when the Shekinah glory cloud was pulled back by Babylon, she saw that Earth was actually surrounded in water.
Oh boy, Wayne! Now here come the flat earthers.
I know it. But Jeff, it's. I'm going to do a whole series on this because it just filled in a lot of the things. For instance, lust. My wife is showing me a story.
Our body is nailed to the cross, so we can't levitate. How about that?
By the way, the tree that the archons guarded with their wings was the tree, and we always say the tree of good and evil. No, it was the tree of the knowledge of the good and evil, right. And they cut out the rest of it. The tree taught you how to descend and how to ascend.
I like it.
Now I understand where Paul got that passage in Philippians.
Which one?
He said that the Christ descended.
Yeah, the kenosis of the Christ. Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
Jeff, Wayne, what does shadow band mean?
Oh, it's interesting because that's what God clothed Adam in.
But I mean, somebody says, I'm shadow banned. What does that mean?
Oh, that means that someone's banning you and you're not aware of it.
Oh.
Yeah. So
then if you're not aware of it, if you are aware of it, then
you're not being shadow banned. So
Rob says, I'm confused. Who are you saying is God?
The serpent.
Is the God of this world.
It's the God of this world.
The God that has been worshipped. The real God.
Yes.
I'm saying the kingdom of God is in every one of us. The real God is somewhere above and beyond.
Lilith says,
is there more than one God or goddess? Yeah.
Yes. Our representative is called the heavenly Adam. We are called earth man. There is a heavenly man.
I don't lay claim to the earth man part, Wayne. I think I'm part of the first Adam, the heavenly Adam.
Well, we all like the idea, but somehow or another, we're occupying these. What do the archons call us? Give me a second. I love this term.
Yeah, I got tricked into the mud hut, but I know where I am now, and I'm getting out.
Yeah, the archons called us. They called us wonderment mud.
Yep, mud huts.
Yeah,
You heard it here first, folks.
yeah, wondrous mud. That's what
And I didn't
Lilith
even
was.
know about that when I came up with mud huts.
Really? Well,
I'd
this
never
is
heard of that.
yeah. This is where it comes. They call us wondrous mud. They marvel at us. They're envious of us because we. This is what got me so excited. We are the spark of the mother goddess, the mother creation. She put that within us. And what they did to Eve, what Samuel did to Eve, you'll find out. But I know why. And women, you're going to find out why you have a menstrual cycle. Because Cain was born in the semen of the dragon and the semen of Adam in her menstrual period.
Okay.
Yeah, that deep.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story.
I tell you, it's worth reading. The script is very difficult. It's done in a script that you have to really pay attention to. I almost call it a magical script. Some of the words will actually change as you're reading them because you're looking at it and you're going, "What is that?" You know, sometimes it's just, and they use strange terminology. So anyway, Jeff, I'm going to put it together, get a chance, read it. It's a interesting point of view of the alternative view that everyone goes to. And this one here fills in where we just have one or two verses in the Bible. This one goes into great lengths and paragraphs to explain those things that we always thought. How did Cain come about? Why did this God hate Cain? The whole story then of Cain's existence. I had heard from the very beginning that Cain was the spawn of the serpent.
Yeah, that's an old, even in Pentecostal circles, that's an old, I forget who it was. I think A.A. Allen was that, and there was somebody else. John, what was his name? William Branham.
Yeah,
The Seed of the Serpent.
Yeah, that's the book. Yeah, used to have that. But now I understand where they were getting this. I mean, this was a knowledge that, it's taboo in some places, but very much in the other. I mean,
It
there has to
definitely is. And I know some people in the chat room are uncomfortable about being called mud, but we were tricked into these mud hut bodies. They are made of the dirt and mud of the earth. And hopefully you'll get real uncomfortable and decide that you want to get out of it.
Yeah. I don't like the aspect that we're pawns, but now things on my own personal journey, I did the Bloodline Invader series. I have been seeking this answer. Why, as far as I can redo the research in, the serpent is always there with the red dragon. Everywhere. Every part of the world, every time period, always the serpent, always the dragon.
Somebody asked, how do we get out? You start getting out by asking that question.
Yeah, it's awakening. Because that's what, I think that's the challenge. We are in this, we walk in a fugue. We think that this is reality. We think that this is real. We've been programmed with the elixir of forgetfulness. And that was the separation story in paradise, what the archons wanted to do. They wanted to distract Adam from the spiritual path. And what they laid on him was the burdenness of the body. And, we see that in the dichotomy of our past. You're shaking your head. What?
Just some of these people in the chat room.
Is everything okay?
It's okay. They're funny.
I mean,
and I mean, sometimes it just makes me shake my head. We're saying made from mud, and we get made from clay, actually.
Well, if you really want to know, according to Lilith, it was slime.
Whatever. Tomato. One man's mud is another man's clay.
The thing is, how do we get out?
Exactly.
I don't like the way that these archons think. And, I think that For me, most of my life, Jeff, I could never understand the hierarchy, the angels. I could never figure out why a seraphim was a reptilian looking.
Even the word in Hebrew is a reptilian base, so they're definitely reptilian.
Yeah. We talk about the Anunnaki, we talk about the Elohim. They appear to be reptilian. The aliens,
At
the
least one of them
Greys,
was, for sure.
at least one of them. At some point in time, when do you just say, well, okay, I guess if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, I guess maybe it is a duck.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, Jeff. I mean, I know people don't like to hear it. We get the emails and, that's why we do our shows, but I've been on this journey a long time, and I've spent, like you, in this particular search, thousands of hours. And I'm an intelligent individual. I'm left with a question the Bible could never answer. My religion, my former religion, could never answer. The other religions haven't answered. Why is the serpent and humanity tied together?
Yeah. And there's one thing I know. We're in a weird world. We're in a world that has a lot of darkness. We're in a world that has a lot of trial. We're in a world that has a lot of tribulation. We're walking through a valley of dark shadows, but I fear no evil, Wayne. And the reason I fear no evil is not because I've got Jesus on my side. The reason I fear no evil is not because I got an angel on my shoulder. The reason that I fear no evil is because I am the biggest, baddest, meanest son of a bitch in the valley.
Well, that's the best way to go.
End of story.
I tell people this. Respect is earned, and it goes forth in the spiritual realm. I don't invoke them, and they don't provoke me. And that's just how I walk.
Absolutely.
Much like you, I hope that our listeners realize part of my journey, Jeff, is to teach people when you die, don't be afraid. Be ready for a fight. I mean, that's the attitude I'm going to be telling them, bring it on. I'm going to be doing Neo.
I'm like you, Wayne. I'm not looking to start any fights, but I'm willing to finish them.
Exactly. I'm a pacifist until you step on my toe twice.
Yep. All of my fights, be they spiritual or any other way, they involve two hits. I hit you, you hit the floor.
Well, I often say this, this was the
if entities come against me, they'll get hit so many times they'll think they're fighting a crowd. I
sleep at night peacefully. I wake up peacefully. There was a time where I'll just be candid with people. When I was deeply in Christianity, I was fighting battles, folks, spiritual battles right and left. And actually what I realize now, I was shadow boxing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I was doing.
And they were laughing. God, that reminds me. I learned a great spiritual lesson from G. Gordon Liddy.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember G. Gordon Liddy?
Oh, I do. Yes,
virile, vigorous, and potent. He's dead now, right?
Yes, he is. What a great. And by the way, you think about Liddy and you think about Watergate, he was the power broker. I mean, the dude was, anyway.
Yeah. So G. Gordon Liddy said that don't fight, but if you do have to fight, learn how to inflict a single debilitating blow that leaves your opponent in this shivering mass on the ground before you, if not totally incapacitated, if not dead. That's the way to do it. That's the number one lesson of spiritual warfare.
I had a friend that was...
And the beautiful thing about it, Wayne, is you only have to do that once or twice. Then you don't get challenged anymore.
Yeah. I had a friend that was FBI, taught martial arts. And, as he told me, he said, the one thing that people don't think about, the most vulnerable part on the human body. And he says, where do you think that is? And I said, well, it's the chest, the neck. He says, no. He said, the most vulnerable part is the knee.
Oh, yeah.
It can go down so quick. And once a person loses that, you crush that meniscus tendon and throw out that ACL, they're gone.
Wayne, I don't know why I'm going to tell this, but it figures right in. Let me finish putting in my email here. I have a friend who sometimes his mouth writes checks that the rest of them have a little trouble cashing. And he did that to me one time in Vegas. He mouthed off to this great big, huge Samoan guy.
Oh, no.
I mean, huge. And the guy came up and started picking on me. And I'm like, wait a second. I'm not involved into this. But he kept pushing. And finally, he spit on me. And it's amazing, Wayne. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how strong you are. A good downward kick to the top of the kneecap will humble the largest of men or women.
Saved my life one time, my friend. Wow. How big was that dude? He probably was what?
He had to be 6'4", and he was probably I'm trying to think of the right food dimension here. And he was probably a roasted pig shy of 450. He was a big boy.
So was the adrenaline flowing, my friend?
Oh, well, actually, I was very calm.
Where are you? Yeah, there you go.
Because I knew that I was going to have to do something. And yeah, you're right. That knee, boom, down they go.
Man, I mean, it'll take you out every time.
And we were at a Vegas casino, and the security came up, said, we saw everything. Go ahead. We were going to the movies. Go ahead and go in. We'll take care of this.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Jeff, way to go, my friend. You
got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Well,
it's like my friend Rocky Stucci. You don't start any fights. Yeah, but sometimes you have to finish some.
Thinking about this spiritually, there are just some spirits that don't like us. They screw with us.
Mm-hmm.
Many times I'm convinced that the people's ill fortune has been because
tomorrow. I just got a reminder.
It is. All day long.
All day long.
But again, Jeff, my figure.
You know what's coming, Wayne? Watch this. This is terrible for me to say this, but just the world we live in, there's a President's Day, right?
Yeah.
Do you think there's coming a Black President's Day?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. As
horrible as that is.
I was thinking about this today. So, we're mud huts. There has been some thought that the first Adam was black. I don't know about that. But do you think that God is Caucasian?
No, of course not.
A lot of people do. Do you think that the Jesus that they show on the cross, that the History Channel is going to be doing a big thing, is he a Caucasian?
Well, interestingly enough, Wayne, I was thinking to myself, oh, that's ridiculous. He couldn't look that way. But as you research the history, the people that have claimed to have seen him, even though he was in the Middle East, a lot of people claim that he did have this weird golden honey colored hair and these blue eyes.
Is that not the lost race of the Hebrews that are blue eyes, blonde hair?
I don't know, but yeah, it was weird for sure.
And then I found out the tribe of Dan. That is another strange one in their connection with Lilith, by the way.
I didn't know. I don't know anything about the tribe of Dan.
Check them out. Yeah. Where was I? I was at Rainbow Bible College. And
Queen says that Jesus was rainbow colored. And spiritually he was.
I think that Lilith, in this book I'm reading, there is a light that we can't comprehend. This is a light that I want to see. I mean,
talking about the organic light doesn't cast a shadow.
Yeah, because you see, when Samuel cast us out of, what he clothed us with? He clothed us with a shadow.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that one just I said, whoa, wait a minute. Closed it with a shadow.
And this is funny. We know Rocker Chick isn't infected by this, but it just shows how our society is so infected with political correctness. She says Jesus may have been African American. Of course, he wasn't African American because he didn't come from Africa. But, we can't just say Jesus might have been black because we're afraid we're going to offend somebody. And she's just trying to be polite. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just interesting the place that we've got to.
Oh, I took it in the rear end when my whole thing with Ball.
And of course, Charlie Bear. I'm all for Asian Jesus. He has good food. Him no like some dumb guy. So see, that's the reason why, Charlie Bear, that people are worried, is because they don't want to sound like you.
And when I say that God is Lilith, people, what are you talking about? Well, let's say God is female. What's so wrong with that? Well, it ain't going to be that hag.
Well, Rocker Chick says Jesus was Cajun.
I'm sorry. I'm just getting the song ZZ Top. Jesus done left Chicago. He's heading to New Orleans.
He didn't want to get shot. That's why he left Chicago.
You tell me what, rock and roll lives. This is completely off the subject. So I was reading an article in Advertising Daily, because I still read the Daily Rags. And it's so funny because the music industry is bemoaning the fact there's no talent. There's no superstars. The only superstars are from our generation.
So you're telling me that Taylor Swift isn't a superstar?
I am saying she's not a superstar.
Justin Bieber?
They're just fly by nights. They in fact,
Katy Perry?
You know what? Yeah. That is the hype machine. And look at it. Today, here in Denver, we've already had Fleetwood Mac, Elton John. We've got the Rolling Stones, Billy Joel, Bob Seger, the Moody Blue. I mean, and I'm going...
Billy Idol. Don't leave Billy Idol out.
Maybe Billy Idol is coming too. I don't know. I mean, but these are all mega events. I'm going to see
Billy Idol in October.
Oh, where are you? In Kansas City?
No, we're going to go to Las Vegas.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, and these are all big venues.
I tried to go see Willie Nelson, but he's sold out down in Oklahoma.
Is Willie still alive?
Willie is still alive. He's 83 and he's still doing shows, bro.
Yeah. I had a chance to go see the Stones and I just told a person, no, thank you. I mean, I saw them in their prime. I don't need to see them in their decline.
Well, I saw them about 4 years ago and they were still amazing.
They are. But I mean, I was spoken by a spirit and says, at some point in time, you must move on. And, I love the bands. Saw them all, but I don't need to see them anymore.
You know what, Wayne, what I'd love to find is, and I don't even know if this exists, but somebody who's very much into the whole, this Black Hebrew Israel, we're the only real people, you're not real. If I could have somebody that could come on the show and actually talk about that intelligently and present their views without becoming belligerent, I'd love to do it, but I don't know if that type of a person exists.
I don't know either. I'm looking for a book.
Rocky Stucci tried to find somebody like that and couldn't.
I think it'd be very difficult. Give me a second. There is a book I want you to check out.
Oh, I think we've got a Mandela effect brewing. Some people thinking that Willie has passed on.
No. I can't find it. I was looking.
They do worship Yahweh. Exactly, Dominator. That's one of the reasons why they're wrong.
I have a book. I'll show you. It's
called... Has
Willie
been cloned? Here we go.
They have all been cloned, but there is a book I have on worshiping the Black Yahweh. Oh,
nice.
It's pretty intense. They're. In fact, isn't there a part of the Assemblies of God that worship Yahweh?
Well, there's an Assemblies of Yahweh.
Yeah. What? I don't know what denomination they're with, but yeah.
Janet has partied with Willie Nelson.
Well, there you go. That had to be a heck of a thing.
That must. I wonder if she's like, if she says after that occurrence, if she will say what Toby Keith says.
I mean, in 1970,
said, right?
What did he do?
I'll never smoke weed with Willie again.
Well, I saw Willie and Waylon Jennings, and
so did I.
Yeah, saw him in Austin.
Hank Williams Jr. back when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah, saw him in right there in Austin, Texas, and yeah, those were the good days.
Those were the good old days.
Yeah.
Waylon was singing Good Hearted Woman.
She's a good heart.
And then all of a sudden in the background, you hear Willie. Well, she never complains. And it was like the place just went wild.
Those were the days. Lone Star beer. I'll tell you, if you needed anything to clean you out, that would be the beer to do it.
That was it, huh?
It's a bad day. Anyway.
And Willie's got that same old damn guitar. He's got a name for it. It's got the hole in it, and he's still playing that thing.
You know, it's like when I met B.B. King, you know, him and Lucille. He told me, and he said this, right? It was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he says, it's alive.
The guitar?
Yeah, he says, it's alive.
Ooh, that's
it, brother. I'm telling you, it's alive.
I wonder if the declination in talent these days is indicative of the declination of the human species.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I think we hit our prime, you know,
we hit our prime with Freddie Mercury, right? He was the last
about 45, 50 years ago.
Because Freddie Mercury, if he'd have been born back in the day, he'd have been Beethoven.
Oh, he'd have gone on. Freddie was a victim of Lilith as well. Broken heart.
You know, Freddie Mercury writes Bohemian Rhapsody in one night, right, by himself. And it took like 14 writers 6 months to write, if you want it, you better put a ring on it. Seriously. Come on, folks.
Well, you know.
And if you think I'm dissing Beyonce, you're right.
Who is, you know what? I have never heard her. I've never heard her sing. I've never.
Well, I dated a young girl for a while that loved hip hop, so I've heard me some Beyonce.
Okay, so you you say, yeah,
you're Lil' Kim and all of that nasty rap stuff.
So you're 10 years younger than I am. Well, actually 8. So,
yeah.
You know, but that would be about right. Yeah, because I was right at the end of the Woodstock era.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And, you know, I often wonder, I would have loved to have had the opportunity to speak to
Delaney Jackson says, blood-eating birdhead Beyonce.
I would have liked to have I really enjoyed him, George Michaels.
George Michaels?
Yeah.
Was he really talented?
I thought he was.
Okay.
Listen to his song.
And did he die?
Yeah, on Christmas Day, committed suicide.
He's the one that wrote, was it Faith? Is that right? He's one Faith?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen to the song Cowboys and Angels.
Okay.
Seriously.
Dude, back when we were young, we grew up before Elton John was gay. Remember that?
I saw him. I can't, 1975.
We didn't know he was gay, right?
I didn't know he was gay.
It wasn't out there. It was like he was pretending that he wasn't.
No, it was like, the dude, man, he can play that piano, and and Bernie Taupin, there was nothing better. And Nigel was playing drums. I mean, yeah. But George Michaels, check out Cowboys and Angels. That song, listen to it and text me and tell me what you think of it. Listen it to with your other person there.
I'll have to do that.
That is a song that expresses, I think, number one, the heartbreak of love, but the internal hope that love hopes.
Somebody writes here, Sterling writes that Beyonce is possessed when she sings. And he's not just popping off, because I've seen her on an interview say that before she sings, she gets taken over by somebody she calls Sasha Fierce. Now, is she just saying she's getting in the zone? Maybe. But she does say that she has another entity, whether she's just getting in the zone or whatever.
She's body sharing. That's what I say. She's body sharing. And when you give recognition to that, I used to poo-poo that. No, man, this is serious. This is serious mojo, man. I think this is in fact what they're doing.
Yep. George Michael came out of the closet. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I saw someone write about Prince. Did you know that the Illuminati had foretold the death of Prince some 8 years before his death on The Simpsons?
I didn't know that, but you could argue that Prince was a superstar, right? Prince and Michael.
Yeah.
I mean, they were musical geniuses.
Yeah.
I wonder if Rocker Chick is making a joke. She says, I didn't know Freddie Mercury was gay. Come on, rocker chick.
Okay, sorry.
Freddie Mercury wasn't gay. Freddie Mercury was gay.
The Live Aid concert. Go watch it. I mean, that was his.
My.
I mean, he made
David Bowie. Wayne, do you know why gay men always go like this?
I have no idea.
Because there's seldom enough room to go like this.
You're gonna get flagged.
Just in case there's somebody that we haven't made mad yet up with this show.
You know, I don't monetize our shows anymore because they're going to get flagged anyway. You know, the whole Lilith thing, I didn't monetize them to begin with. I figured, all right, nope.
Not even worth it.
Not even worth it. God, Jeff. This is why I get up for Sunday mornings. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've been in the Central Time Zone and it's an hour earlier.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Come about July, we'll be talking. I want to see how well you do out there. Fortunately, you got that lake by you. So, you know, does it got good fishing in it?
It does have good fishing in it.
Excellent.
I haven't seen any when I'm dunking under these days, but.
Well, they're probably watching you going, what?
What the hell is this guy doing?
Nothing's doing, man.
Chick said she was upset when she found out that Freddie Mercury was gay. How could you not know that Freddie Mercury was gay?
My dear. The man.
It's like being shocked that when you found out that Liberace was gay.
I can remember I was living in Knoxville driving.
Was Liberace gay?
No. How about Rock Hudson?
One of the worst. I'm going to tell this joke. Now this will definitely get us banned. You remember that Jim Nabors and Rock Hudson had a little thing going on?
Yes, they did.
And do you know why Jim Nabors can't get life insurance?
No.
Because he's already got a piece of the rock. That's terrible.
Oh, my.
That's terrible. And they're both dead anyway, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I already said I'm going to hell in some.
And they say don't ever talk evil of the dead. I'm like, why not? That's the best people to talk evil of. They're not going to come after you.
Well, you know, getting on this, and I know
it's like don't kick a man when he's down. Can you think of a better time to kick a man than when he's down? He's right there by your foot. It's very convenient.
How about Jimmy Dean Sausage? They don't hire a spokesperson. They get the guy that's dead to do the commercials.
Saves on marketing.
Who are they paying the royalties to? You know, I know what but you know, I just told Lynn, I said, that's some weird shit. I said, they're having people from the dead come back and do commercials.
Oh, could you imagine the possibilities?
Oh, couldn't you though?
Because now with all the holograms and stuff.
Wow. Oh, and Dean Martin. Dean Martin's more popular than he was when he was with the Rat Pack. I mean, really? Well, everywhere you get his songs, they released his songs now, and I guess someone that these ad agencies have discovered love, you know, Mia More. I loved Dean, you know. I liked him when he was with Jerry, but yeah. You know, so
like you said, I'm trying to drink Canada dry.
And the cigarettes. You know, I watched him in a movie, and it was like, you know, it got the cigarettes going. It was like they all smoked. Well, Jeff, this is
all right, Wayne. Yeah, we've run over time.
This has been fun. You know,
it has been fun.
I had people who write me. They say, you know, you and Jeff just seem like two opposites. And I said, well, actually, I said we're very much alike. I said we just come from different points of view. You know? And
it's so funny when Rocker Chick is talking about, you know, Ozzy Osbourne cannot string together one sentence in a conversation, but yet he can still sing the hell out of a song.
Isn't that
Mel Tillis. Remember Mel Tillis? Is he still alive?
I remember. I think he's gone home.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of them going home. I don't know. There's a whole lot of people going home. Remember that one?
Yeah, boy, that just made me. I threw up a little bit in my mouth when I heard you start off on that.
I don't know where it came from. I mean, I'm just channeling. What can I say?
Well, we got over 400 people in here now. I hate to leave, but
it's like, well, you missed the good stuff. I mean,
one thing I could tell you for sure is Bob Joyce is not freaking Elvis. That's for sure.
Who the Bob? Oh, Pastor Bob Joyce.
Yeah, he's already got more mention than he deserves.
Yeah, I know who that dude is. You know, if I'm going to talk about someone, I like to talk about Ernest Angley. You know, the greatest story I heard from Jesse Duplantis is that when he was flying in his Falcon 3, whatever Jesse had back then, he says, here they were, he says, taxiing in the New Orleans airport. And he said, I looked out the window and I saw this 747 coming by and it said Ernest Angley on it.
No way.
Yeah.
So Jesse had plane envy over Ernest Angley.
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah. Yeah. So, that's why they all have to have their new, Falcon. What is the new thing is, I guess, is the Gulfstream 6 or 7, I think.
Believe it or not, Wayne, when I lived in Germany, because it was Germany and I was an American and Ernest Angley was there of all places, I went and watched Ernest Angley.
Did you really?
And to my amazement, they came up and arrested him for practicing medicine without a license when he started doing healing. And they actually hauled him off to a German jail back in 1983 or 4.
When he was laying hands on people?
Exactly. A heel.
Yes.
Find your back. Yeah. The Polizei were not impressed.
How interesting. Practicing medicine without a license.
Yep.
That's very novel. Novella. That's new. I
don't think Ernest ever went back to Germany.
Well, who would?
Exactly.
I mean, it's the story of John Dee, back in the 15th century when he was going around Europe, meeting with all the heads and doing the seances. They said the one place that he avoided was Spain and Italy, for it was said that the Pope wished that he would come into his territory. And John Dee said, I could only imagine what the Inquisition would be like.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah. Well, my friend, what do you got going for this week?
All kinds of stuff. I can't even tell you.
Well,
mostly because I don't know yet, but it's a lot of stuff.
Well, just go as the mighty flow, my friend.
Absolutely.
Jeff, I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Me too, Wayne. It's been a great time. It's been a great time in the chat room. We always learn a lot of great stuff here. We always hear some inappropriate stuff here, but hey, that's just another day in paradise, right?
It is the human experience, isn't it?
It is. And the R. Wayne Steiger channel is a great place to go and check out.
Have to have you back on a Friday night again. Let's have you back on.
I don't think I've ever been on a Friday night.
Yeah. I'll write you.
All right. I'll be
I was supposed to do an interview yesterday and got stuck. We're up looking at some things in the mountain, got stuck. And let me just tell you, all-wheel drive does get stuck.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Ladies and gentlemen, for R. Wayne Steiger, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. We appreciate you being here, and we look forward to seeing you again on next Sunday. Until then, go to the R. Wayne Steiger channel.
Thank you.
Make sure you're liked, shared, subscribed. And before you leave, if you think we were terrible today, give us a thumbs down. If you think we were great, give us a thumbs up. If you think we're dangerous, you better subscribe and keep an eye on us. If you think we're good, you better subscribe, keep an eye on us.
I love it,
because
Jeff.
You don't want to miss anything.
You're the best.
Until next week, we appreciate every one of you. Wayne, thanks, brother.
Thank you, my friend. Bye-bye.
Take care.